15 affair. It's number 8 Alabama on the road tonight, taking on a red-hot number 14 Missouri Tigers squad. Max Toma alongside the former Iowa State Cyclone and Annie Johnson. Annie, when you talk about SEC gymnastics, this is the last meet of the regular season for both these sides. They've been performing very well. Should be a very exciting matchup tonight.
Absolutely. It's the last SEC matchup before postseason, which is really what all these teams are gearing up for. Trying to get in that top 4 spots of the SEC division to really look forward towards regionals and nationals. And what better way to compete against Alabama and Missouri? You can see the SEC standings right here, with Florida leading the rank at 197.845, and it's crucial that you get in those top 4 spots. So Missouri is really looking to climb up to that top 4 spot so they get that night session with the ideal to clinch that SEC title.
You get that night session, you get a chance to win the championship. You play during the day, you're part of the bottom 4 seeds. Addison Lawrence, the freshman, will get us started. Lawrence, McCrary, Schreiber, Celestine Moore, and Grace Ann Davis as Mizzou starts us off on the vault tonight. Coach Shannon Welker with some last words. He was a treat to talk to a couple of days ago. Boy, what a run he has had here at Mizzou, and his squad right now playing as well as they have really in the entire program's history.
Absolutely. He's been such a crucial role to this team. In the last decade, he's been fighting and trying to build this program to create that legacy, and it finally broke through last season, and they're just continuing that momentum into this season.
It's a Missouri team that finished 5th nationally last year, and an Alabama team that finished 7th. And we're off and running at the Hearn Center.
Addie Lawrence starting off with a Yurchenko full. Small step back on the landing, but a solid start for the Missouri Tigers. Here's another replay. You can see her pike down just a little bit. Those judges are really looking forward, extended hips and a chest up on that landing and seeing the vault table. And of course, the stuck landing.
And for the Crimson Tide, it's Lily Hudson, the sophomore, to get things started on the bars at a 9.775 last week against LSU.
Lily was in the all-freshman team last year, and you can see why at the impact that she's been having. Oh! Had to fight on that bail over to the low bar a little bit. That will be a deduction. Gearing up for her dismount. Giant full into a double tap and a step back. Not the start that Alabama was looking for. It seems like they're a little bit nervous, have to work through a little bit of those nerves and just stiffness. Get loose and get warmed up for the meet.
The sophomore was leading off on bars for the 9th time in a row.
And she will be a common face tonight as she's competed in the all-around every meet this season.
Anna McCrary, the senior, now goes on the vault for Missouri.
On the vault.
Another common face. She has scored a 9.925 and a 9.85 this season. She'll be competing a Yurchenko full.
Performed on the vault and the floor in every meet so far this year. She's been red hot the last 2 meets in this event.
Amazing vault. You could really see her extended lines right from the beginning. A little small hop back, which will be a deduction, but an outstanding vault by senior Hannah.
You see Addison Lawrence with the first posted score tonight, 9.75 to get Mizzou started on the vault. And now it's Karis German as we see some youth to start things off for Bama. They start with the sophomore and then the freshman. He's competed so well. She's competed more like a veteran than a first year.
She does not show that she is a freshman at all. The way she attacks her bar routine right here. Not just doing a Tkachev, but doing a Rikna, is what it's called. A stalder into a Tkachev. Very difficult. A little bit of a struggle there on her half pirouette. Just the dismount left. Toe on, straight into a double layout. I'll count that as a stuck landing. Great finish to cap off for the freshman.
Just a tiny bit of movement on the landing. Lily Hudson's score was posted of a 9.775 as we take another look.
Here's another look at that double layout dismount. I'm going to give her the stick.
Anna McCrary with a 9.8. She's had at least a 9.8 now, 3 straight times on the vault. And here's the senior, always providing a ton of energy and spark.
You talk about joy. It's right here embodied. Right there on that vault. Tiny, small movement in the feet, but huge Yurchenko full as always.
Shanna Welker has talked so much about Sienna Schreiber, just how much she's become a leader. Well, she's just performing so well week in and week out.
She's looking to add to her career high of 9.9s that she's obtained several times throughout this season, and I will say that'll come pretty close.
On the bars for Bama, Maddie Walla-Gora.
Next on the bars is Maddie Walla-Gora, the senior, and a 9 last week. Season high 9.9 on this event.
And you talk about growth. It's one thing to come in as a freshman, make your mark, but to continue that and continue to improve is so difficult. And Maddie has really embodied that throughout her time at Alabama, from not competing that much from freshman year to now being a staple in a lot of lineups.
She's competed in every meet on floor, beam, and bars.
She's going to open up here with a Jaeger, straight down into the veil. A little bit of a leg separation and looking to get that bail above horizontal. Head coach Ashley Johnston said that her focus going into this bar lineup and every lineup is starting stronger. She said that her teams takes a little bit of warming up to go. As you can see, the first couple teams were a little rocky, but Maddie just hit a solid double out, full out.
Here's a look at Ashley Johnson, the first-year head coach at Alabama. She returned to her alma mater where she was a 10-time All-American and a 2-time, how about back-to-back national champ in 2011 and 2012.
And you talk about legacies with this Alabama program, and she right there is a legacy. She is only one of 3 head coaches in the last 20 years.
Mari Celestine.
This is the first Yurchenko 1.5 that you're going to see in this competition, which starts from a 10-0. Huge vault, as always, by Mari. She gets a great distance from the table, and that's what these judges are looking for. Not only amplitude, height off the table, as well as the distance from the table. And she really goes just the extra mile when she shows that off.
The national runner-up in vault last year. She almost had a perfect 10 last week on the road at Arkansas at a 9.95. See what she gets this time around as Shania Adams, the junior from Columbus, Ohio, steps up. First time competing on bars this year. Has competed on bars since the Seattle Regional last year.
She will be replacing Lisa Blanco, who has been a staple in this bar lineup. Give her a little bit of a rest in the all-around spot, and Shania has done a great job. Look at how she just glues her legs together, hits every handstand. It's remarkable how easily she flows from one skill to the next. Giant full double tuck. Step landing. They're going to want to look at honing in on those stuck landings if they want to try to beat out these Missouri Tigers.
Mari Celestine with a 9.875. Each Mizzou vaulter has gotten better of the first 4. We'll see if Jocelyn Moore can continue that. She's got the perfect 10. It happened here at the Hurt Center. She's always just so terrific at this apparatus.
Not only her first 10-0, but program record first 10-0 on vault. Hoping to hit it again. Small step back, but a great vault. Again, that is a vault that starts from a 10-0, having it be a 1.5.
She was so close to a 10 last week at Arkansas as well, as we take a look at the replay.
You can see those lines on the mat. Those are new to college gymnastics to kind of get a measure of how far off center that the gymnast is, since that is a deduction that they have to go right down the middle of the vault.
Shania Adams with a 9.85. That ties Walla-Gora for the high here on bar so far as Cam Machado steps up. Her NQS softly high at 9.885.
This is Cam's only event tonight, and she's been in every lineup this season.
She's 38th in the country on bars at a 9.925 against Arkansas last week.
Starting off with a Maloney straight down to a pack that floats down to the low bar. Great hit handstand right there. Great Van Leeuwen up to the high bar. Toe hand full into the double tuck and a stuck landing. That is what Alabama has been wanting this whole meet, and she just got it right there.
They needed it, and Cam Machado delivered with the stick on the landing. A great dismount. As we take a look at the dual meet format, 6 gymnasts compete per team in each event. You drop the lowest score. The home team, Missouri, in this case, goes in Olympic order. They go vault, bars, beam, and then floor, with Alabama going bars, vault, floor, and then finishing on the beam, which is going to be exciting because they were so terrific on the beam last week.
And usually that is a disadvantage for a team to end on the beam, but not for the Alabama. That is their strongest event, so it almost is an advantage for them.
Grace and Davis, 9.775 last week on the vault.
Lately, she's been having a little bit of trouble going off to the side. Can't really find that landing, but still, great 1.5 for the Missouri Tigers.
Here's a look at Makari Doggett and what she did last week at home.
She has been outstanding, not only this season, but for her entire career. She was the 2021 SEC bar champion, and I know that she's looking for that accolade as we gear up towards postseason as well.
Doggett 16th nationally, tied 16th in this event. She's got the team's lone 10 this year on bars. It came at the end of January against Kentucky.
And that is huge to come out in January scoring a perfect 10. Usually you don't see them till later in the season, but she's going to open up with a huge Tkachev right down to a pack. Her Tkachev is my favorite in the NCAA. It's so much height as well as the extended arms. Just the dismount. She's going to do a double layout. Look how she glues her legs together and a stuck landing. I don't know about you, but I think that was pretty close to her 10 that I saw at Kentucky.
Big smile from Ashley Johnston. We'll see if that's maybe 10 number 2 of the year for Doggett. That was nearly flawless.
Her teammates are flashing a 10. You could see right there on the Tkachev. I could probably stand under that, and she wouldn't even touch me. Double layout, stuck landing. I know she's excited, and her teammates are thrilled to have that momentum going into the next event.
What a way to close out on bars after Machado gets a 9-9. Doggett might have done even better.
Sydney Schaefer up. Chenko full. This is an exhibition routine, and so it gives the athletes a chance to kind of go out there, not have their score count, but get the experience that some athletes may be lacking, or just to see how they might do in a different environment.
An alternate exhibition. You've had a chance to do these in your career. It's great to do it in a match atmosphere in front of the home crowd or the road crowd, albeit kind of get in that match atmosphere.
Absolutely, and it's especially going into postseason, you want to have that depth.
So Doggett gets a 9.95, oh so close to that second 10 for her this year. Corinne Benagin now to close things out. The alternate exhibition for Bama here on bars.
She's an academic All-American, but it's her first appearance representing the Crimson Tide, and she is doing an outstanding job so far. Gearing up for her dismount right here. Double layout. Great routine. And even though the exhibition show score doesn't count, it's still just as important, and the girls are just as thrilled for the competitor.
A great run in the first rotation for Bama on bars. And coming up next, an NQS and SEC standings look. Welcome back in here after we finished the first rotation. Great performance on bars of 49.375 for Alabama as we get set for rotation number 2. Max Tomo alongside Annie Johnson. Annie, quite an exciting first rotation here and a great score posted, especially for the road Crimson Tide.
It's a great start, and that's really what these teams need to look for moving into postseason, is having that strong start. I know that they probably were looking for a little bit more cleaner landings, a little bit cleaner form, but again, great start. And they're going to want to continue that momentum moving on to the next few events.
They really started to find their groove as we take a look at the NQS breakdown. You want to talk about it to those watching at home?
NQS, National Qualifying Score. What is it and why is it important? The National Qualifying Score, you're going to take your top 6 scores, 3 of them at home, 3 of them away, drop your top score, and that is average of those scores is what is going to qualify you and rank you as you move into the SECs as well as regionals and nationals. Looking into Missouri's NQS, you can see right here, these are their top 6 meets. We're going to take away that meet from Arkansas, that outstanding meet, and you're left with a 196.89, which is a very competitive score amongst other SEC teams as well. Moving on to Alabama's as well for their NQS. Top score, 198. Take that away. We're left with a 197.425. They are ahead of Missouri, but there is still, that's why these meets are still so important. This meet and the next regular season meet is still applicable to qualify for that NQS score.
So as we talk NQS scores, Florida leading the pack, the number 2 team in the country. Missouri, Alabama right in the middle. Bama with a better NQS than the Tigers.
And the SEC is a huge competitive environment. The top 10 teams within the top 20 are in the SEC. And so half of that top 20 are in the SEC. And so that just goes to show how competitive it is.
And there's a matchup tonight coming up later that is the matchup of the year. It's the teams that came in first and second last year. It's number 1 Oklahoma and number 2 Florida. It does not get better than that.
It really doesn't. It's going to be a showdown, and who comes out better tonight? They are both incredible teams. Almost crazy how perfect they both can be. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of 10s showing out there tonight.
Bama with the lead after the first rotation. They put up a 49-375 to Missouri's 49-1-5, and Bama will head to the vault where they are 12th in the nation, and Mizzou moves to the bars where they are 16th, and they had some great bar performances last week.
Vault really comes down to the landing, so Missouri does have a chance to catch up, if not surpass, where Alabama is at right now.
Bama had a 49-325 on vault last week.
Gabby starting with Yurchenko, full, huge vault, and a great landing to start off this Alabama team vault lineup. She is the only competitor that will be competing in Yurchenko full, which starts from a 995 start value. Here's another look. You can really see the extension in her hips. She sees the ground, spots the ground, and finds that landing.
Last week she was incredible. She anchored the vault rotation, had the highest score on the team, a 9.925 against LSU. Amari Celestine will start things on bars, coming off an also performance that was fantastic, a 9.925. Really set the tone. That was the first performance for Mizzou.
Mizzou's head coach really said that we need a leadoff scorer that can score well in any spot, and Amari is it. She loves to compete, and you can see her excitement. A little bit off on that pack, didn't get as much amplitude as other packs that we've seen. Right back up to Van Leeuwen, up to the high bar. And this is going to be a fun dismount. She actually had to create a new dismount, stuck the landing. She had to create a new dismount in the peak of being recruited due to some mental blocks. And those are pretty common in gymnastics, but it's awesome to see her roll with the punches and just come out here with a unique dismount and stick that landing.
Amari Celestine set the tone last week. She sets the tone on bars again for Mizzou.
And those sticks are contagious, so you can expect to see a whole lot more in that bar lineup.
So Gabby Gladio, the first score here in this second rotation, a 9.85 to start things on vault.
Here's your first Yurchenko, 1.5 in the Alabama lineup. Significant step forward, a little bit uncharacteristic. She has a season high of a 9.925 that she's received twice this season. So she is capable of having a stronger landing than that, but it was still a powerful vault. You're looking at one of the mini AAI award nominees that we have here tonight in the house, which is the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy in gymnastics. A huge honor.
Sienna Schreiber is one of those nominees. She's got a 9.825 or better 7 times in a row on bars.
The way she swings bars is so casual. It'd be the equivalent of someone putting pants on in the morning. She makes it look easy. Gearing up just for her dismount. Double layout. Huge routine for Sienna. I know she was a little bit disappointed she didn't get that stuck landing.
That looked like a lot like her result last week. She had the tiny hop and had a 9.9.
Yeah, so still very capable of a big score. She didn't have much. You can see right here that the judges are looking for within a 10-degree difference from vertical. So if it's less than 10 degrees, that will be a 0-tenth deduction. But if it's anything greater, over or under, that will be at least a 10th deduction.
Celeste posted the first score on bars for Mizzou, a 9.825. Doggett, a 9.75, just posted on vault. As here's Lily Hudson.
Lily doing a Yurchenko 1.5. Amazing stuck landing. I know she's excited at that. She had a little bit of out of control landing last week. She went forward and off to the side, so it must feel really good, extra good to get that stick here tonight.
What a bounce back. She had a 9.6. It was the drop score last week on vault, and this time stellar flying through the air and sticking that blind landing.
And that is one way to come out of the gates. It just goes to show that what happens one week is not guaranteed the next. So much can change in gymnastics, so it's not important to hang on to what happened last week, whether that be good or bad.
Elisa Sharametta, the grad student, coming off a 9.85 on bars versus Arkansas.
Great handstand. She held it there for a second, really showing it off. Right into a straddle Jaeger bail. Great height on the bail. She's a transfer from Illinois Chicago when that program got cut. She got the opportunity to come to compete for Missouri Tigers. Another unique dismount, a front 1.5. You don't see hardly at all in college gymnastics. Here's another look. She holds that handstand, and that is what we're talking about in handstands. In the green means good, less than 10-degree deduction. And here's another look at that unique dismount, front 1.5. Didn't quite get the landing. She didn't look like she was fully rotated. That couldn't find that landing.
Lily Hudson posted a 9.875. That's the best score so far on vault for Bama. And now it's Shania Adams.
Competing another Yurchenko 1.5. Oh, she switched to Yurchenko full. I know she is capable of a 1.5, so they might be keeping it a little bit narrowed down just for this meet to try to save bodies. And that's another point of conversation at this point of the season. You're moving into postseason, trying to gear up and keep your focus on that. So you might see some of the competitors making a little bit of adjustments in their routine.
Yeah, Adams got to make her first performance on bars in about a year. That was just her second performance on vault this year. The last game, January 20th. Now it's Jocelyn Moore.
Next on the bars,
Looking to bounce back after just the 9.8. That tied her season low, actually, on bars last week.
And talk about a competitor. Her grip actually fell off after this skill right here. Another huge Tkachev 3 meets ago. And she continued her routine. And she made it with no mistakes, doing another release move as well as her dismount. And that right there goes to show how much of a competitor she is right here. Full twisting double back, stuck landing. Her team is thrilled with that routine.
Just a stoic emotion after she stuck that big dismount.
Here's another look at her routine. Nice hit handstand. Winding up for that dismount, and you can see her eyes like lasers into that mat. She was not going to give up that stuff.
Shania Adams with a posted 9.675. That's a score that Alabama would probably like to drop. They got Paradise and Olsen left.
Absolutely. Puts a little bit of pressure on the rest of the lineup, but nothing that they can't handle, as you can see right there from another huge 1.5.
Helen Hu next for Mizzou. I mean, she's just waiting for a 10 on this event.
I mean, if she gets a 10 tonight, I'm going to take off this headset and storm the floor, because she is the most deserving 10 that I have seen compete. And I don't say that lightly at all. I just know that a 10 is on the horizon for Helen.
She got a 9.9 in both her events. above apparatuses she performed on last week. 5 times on bars she's had a 9.9 or higher. It just feels like a matter of time.
Absolutely, and Jocelyn did a great job at setting her up for this 10 as long as she has just as what she is capable of. Huge release move right down to a pack. That was called a church because she puts her toes on the bar into a Tkachev, right into the Van Leeuwen. Huge release move. She does not back down with difficulty. She has difficulty and beautiful form right there. Hit handstand. All she has left is a stick. Oh, and she wanted to hang on to that stick so hard, but she just couldn't quite stick the landing.
So close to perfection the whole time through. Stuck it for a millisecond there, then just a tiny little hop.
Who knows? Maybe if the judges blink, that 10 could still be flashed.
She's trying to top Jocelyn Moore's posted 9.925 that she just had. Jordan Paradise with a 9.8. And now the anchor Shawan Olsen, who's been in the Olympics twice in her career.
And she was a silver medalist at Worlds behind Simone Biles at this event. Just your household name.
Good to be mentioned in the same breath as Simone Biles.
She is capable of competing in Yurchenko double full. And right there, you can see her huge Yurchenko double full. You hardly see that skill in the NCAA because it is so difficult. Typically, it's amongst elite gymnasts at the Olympian level, which makes sense because she has a background in the Olympics.
Talk about the height and the distance. She won the vault 2 weeks ago at Georgia, and that looked like another awfully good performance from Shannon Olsen, the grad student.
Her feet were a little bit staggered, so you want to get those feet all the way together. Didn't look like she completely finished the twist, but that'll be a huge score for the Crimson Tide.
Kira Burns to anchor things out, the junior, a 9.85 and a 9.875 her last 2 times on bars. So Helen Hu hits a 9.875.
I'm not sure what the judges took on that other than the landing on the dismount. But again, we're looking at the routines from a different angle than the judges are. They're at a lower angle so they can see some of those handstand angles a little bit more better. Winding up for her double layout dismount. Small hop on the landing. Great performance by the recent lineup addition.
Shawan Olsen got the high on vault with a 9.9 as we look at Kira Burns.
Here's another look at that double layout dismount. You can see how she extends her hips and tries to find that landing, and she just about did.
Next in exhibition on vault, Alabama, Corinne Benoggin.
Time for the exhibition for Alabama. Corinne Benoggin, sophomore from Ramsey, New Jersey.
Another exhibition from Corinne. First vault appearance as well. Yurchenko full. Oh, she so badly wanted that stick. She flared out her arms and tried to see it. You can see her and Coach Justin Springs are laughing about it, knowing that that's what she was searching for.
She had the exhibition on bars for Bama as well. Really enjoying her time out there on the floor here at the Hurt Center, it looks like.
Absolutely. Both these teams compete with such joy and such passion, and it's exciting to watch, regardless of the outcome.
Now Addison Lawrence, the freshman.
She competed at the start of the season for this lineup, but she'll be competing tonight as an exhibition routine.
At the 9.75 on vault, and now an exhibition here on bars.
Blind change to a blind landing, double front dismount. That is so hard to find the landing on that skill. Took a small step forward. A solid performance by the exhibition routine.
We'll talk Shannon Welker and Ashley Johnston and these two coaches creating a legacy. That's after this break after rotation 2 comes to its conclusion. For 2 rotations here, we're halfway home at the Hurt Center. Bama takes it on vault, takes it on bars, but just a separation after 2 rotations of 500ths rather, with the Crimson Tide lead by.
That's a small margin and something that's pretty easy to make up on both of these 2 events. It's some of the strongest events for both Missouri and Alabama left, so there is a fun couple rotations left in store.
It's a pink meet. You've been a part of some pink meets. How special is a night like this for the people competing on the floor and the people in the crowd?
It means so much. Gymnastics, a lot of times, you get so focused and caught up in the day-to-day, trying to be perfect, but it means so much to compete for something other than yourself and your school. This has a meaning behind it, and it's very powerful to be a part of.
Hey, Gymnastics fans,
We'll toss it again down to the PA announcer and Darren Helwig.
We're going to ask you all to locate your I Stand With sign. Take a moment to recognize and honor all of those who have been impacted or affected by breast cancer. In support of tonight's Peak Out meet, we ask that everyone, please stand if you are able, raise those signs in support of the women that matter to all of us that battle breast cancer every day. Together, we can defeat breast cancer.
Powerful moment here in Columbia. Let's toss it to Coach Johnston's interview and talking creating a legacy at Alabama.
All right, you guys get up on your feet. You know what to do now. It's time.
It means everything to me to return to Alabama. I mean, these were the years that were the most transformative for me. One of the phrases that I continue to say to this team is to respect the past, but also to create the future. And there are some amazing traditions in place here and throughout our program, but also there are a lot of new perspectives. We're constantly trying to create an environment where they can grow, they can mess up, they can learn, they can be equipped with the tools to be successful. I think it's so important that we find that 5-year-old in us again that learns how to have fun and flip around because we love to flip around.
Training under Ashley is amazing. I think she just brings such a positivity to the team, and it allows us to break out of our shell and just have a good time. We look at her on the wall every day.
Her face and her name, it's all over the place. Ashley was a national champion here, and she's been in our shoes.
When you talk about a first-year head coach at a school, well, you don't get much better of a resume than that of Coach Johnston.
She has an incredible resume as a gymnast, and that just gives her all the more respect by these athletes because she's been in their shoes. She knows what it's like to balance school and gymnastics, and what a wonderful job she's done leading these young ladies.
And her mom, how about Linda Freed? She was on the first-year program for the Mizzou Tigers gymnastics team way back at 79 and 81. The number 8 team in the land with a small margin. So far, they are ahead by 500s, and the Crimson Tide move to the floor in rotation 3 with Mizzou moving over to the balance beam.
Moving into this third rotation, they're really looking on ironing out some of those little minor mistakes, such as landings and little missed handstands. Now that they've kind of got comfortable with the pace of the meet, they can kind of settle in, take a few deep breaths, and really just be comfortable doing the gymnastics that they know that they are capable of every single day.
And Hannah McCrary and Addison Lawrence kind of flip-flopped a few weeks ago, and they lead off a 2-spot on beam. And McCrary, the grad student, responded last week with what their coach described as her best beam performance in her career.
And this beam team, just in general, is something I am most excited for to watch at this meet. They have such a pristine way of competing that's just remarkable. Front toss to a beat jump, solid as ever. Her back handspring, layout, step out. It looks like she just second-guessed herself right there. She had the landing, but just might have felt a little bit off. Split jump to a ring jump, very difficult. Taking your eyes off of the beam and then landing down back on the beam without a single wobble. Her previous career high happened actually at regionals in 2022 with the 9.875. Piked gainer, small tiny hop on the landing, great solid performance, which is exactly what Missouri wants as their leadoff spot. Someone that doesn't second guess and just keeps still and calm.
Someone that really never gives in to the pressure, does Hannah McCrary.
Starting off on floor for Alabama, Maddie Walagora.
Maddie Walagora, the senior, will start things on floor, a 9-9 last week against LSU.
This is the first year she's been consistently in this floor lineup, which is super exciting to see. Super, super fun routine. A little bit of oldies action, or as my dad would probably correct me, classics. Starting off here with a very difficult E pass. Oh! That is a front layout to a front double full, and she just didn't quite have enough oomph and enough rotation to get all the way around. You're looking for when you have that double salto pass to have the second pass rise above the first pass, and it just seemed to kind of go downhill. Talk about this senior class, though. That is part of the reason that the Alabama Crimson Tide are doing so well this season. They have really established a great culture, grabbed the bull by the horns with this team, and have gone up to the coaches and requested what they want and what their goals are. They've taken initiative and responsibility, which is exactly what you want as a coach to see in your senior leadership.
Both these sides have such terrific veteran leadership, and they're both making their postseason run right now in March.
Finishing strong with her second pass, and talk about senior leadership. Maddie actually hosts what they call family dinners every Sunday night, where the team gets together just to chat and have family dinner and enjoy each other's company.
Addison Lawrence next, coming off a career performance on beam against Arkansas on the road.
Addison is a remarkable performer on this event. As you can see, she has a 9.925 last week against Arkansas. Didn't give any room for deduction, and she is one of those that competes like a senior.
After the first rotation, that small lead for Bama. It grew just a little bit after the second rotation. Hannah McCrary, the lone score posted so far here in the third rotation on beam for Mizzou, a 9.65.
When we had a chance to talk with Coach Shannon Welker, he said that he's super excited for her future as a Tiger. A lot of times the freshman year is kind of about figuring out college, balancing the school as well as the gymnastics, and just living away from home. And between freshman and sophomore year is typically that big jump that you get to see. And so expect some great things from her the upcoming years.
Yeah, he talked about projecting her out, just how good she's going to be in the future. And since she moved that two-spot on beam, she's been nearly flawless.
And right there, you can see how flawless she is with her side aerial back handspring step out series.
A 9.8 or better 6 of the last 8 times for her on beam.
They moved her to the second spot instead of being the lead off, because sometimes as a freshman, it's a lot of pressure, and she's handled it terrifically, but they thought that maybe being in the second spot would allow her to excel, and clearly that was the right choice, as we saw from her performance last week against Arkansas. Front aerial. Just the dismount round up, 1.5. Found the landing again, back-to-back meets. I know she is thrilled with that routine.
The freshman delivering the composure and the energy. What a landing, what a routine.
Back to her series, a side aerial back handspring step out. Not a series you see a lot because it is so difficult. And why not take another look at that awesome stuck landing right there, textbook, not a single hair moved.
That 9.925 versus Arkansas was a career best. Could she maybe have topped it with that routine? Maddie Walagora had a 9.075 to get things started on the floor with that fall for Alabama. Shalyn Olson now is next. And do you feel a little bit of pressure after your leadoff person in a particular apparatus goes out there and has a stumble like that?
Sometimes, but the gymnasts here are just taught to take a deep breath and do the routine that they're meant to be. Makari opening up with a huge full in. She really is a performer on this event. She's actually had injuries every year, and she talked about the comparison game, how it's easy to sometimes compare yourself to a previous athlete that you once were before the injuries, and it's hard to have compassion for yourself, but she does more than just a fine job at managing her training to perform at the level that she does, really getting into it. Having fun with this away crowd.
This one always gets the people going.
I love how much fun this team has on floor.
They really just do play to the crowd, whether they're at home or on the road.
And a 1.5 front layout. Great ending, exactly how she felt about the team.
Got to flex on them at the end after that terrific performance.
Here's another look at that first pass. Huge full in. She keeps rising on the second flip. And another look at that second pass as well. The round off 1.5 front layout. Beautiful job.
Confidence just oozes from her and from this Crimson Tide side. Addison Lawrence posted a 9.85 for beam after Hannah McCrary's 9.65. And now it's the sophomore Grace Ann Davis coming off a 9.875, the second best beam routine for her this year.
This is a new event for her this season, and she's done a remarkable job with that 9.9 at her first meet competing beam. Very stoic performer, as you'll see. If you have a chance to hear the music in the background, the girls actually get a choice of what song plays while they're on beam, called a beam song. It kind of removes them from the chaos that happens at these gymnastics meets. College gymnastics has such a different energy, and it's a hard adjustment. Back handspring layout, step out, a deep squat, but she saved that wiggle. She did not want to give away any tense right there. Front toss, oh shoot. Looked like she threw more with one arm than the other, leading her to get a little bit off on the side of the beam, but she saved it well. Beat jump to sheep jump. Again, taking her eyes off the beam, finding that landing is very difficult.
Missouri set their beam record with a 49.55 last week against Arkansas. Not been nearly as strong here this go around so far.
Fun dismount right here. Switch leap, back handspring to a gainer full, and she has one of the highest gainer fulls that I have seen in the NCAA. It truly rises, which you don't see.
So much power for Grace Ann Davis lifting off that beam.
And that's one thing people forget. Beam is a powerful event, and you have to attack every skill, every movement to make sure that you don't give away any wobbles and that you're very toned in on the event.
Talking about Alabama's lineup here are the judges and coach Ashley Johnston. They've made a few changes entering today, as you kind of talked about. You hit March, you start to give certain people some rest on certain events. We haven't seen Luisa Blanco yet. She's only in a couple of events so far.
And it's important to explore the depth that you have as well.
Monday night, SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the Kentucky men's basketball team at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and go all-access with the Texas A&M men's program. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sound for players and coaches. A real behind-the-scenes look on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. And now we're back and ready to go with Bama back on floor.
You can see that Alabama is getting in to the waiting. It can be pretty challenging as you wait for the floor routine, especially get a little bit cold, but they had fun clapping her on. Typically at home, they actually play the YMCA, which the crowd really gets involved and tries to heighten that energy moving into floor. Shania Adams here up. You can see her NQS at 9.86.
So it was Makari Dunkett that went second, and she posted a terrific 9.875.
Huge, very clean double pike. It's one thing to throw huge skills, but to be able to find that landing and compete it flawlessly is a completely other thing. She has competed in the all-around before in previous years, but she's such a large contribution right here to the team just on floor alone that there's no reason for her to compete on all-around. You can see Ashley Johnston getting into her floor routine right there. She helps choreograph these routines for these young ladies.
She is living with all of these athletes on all of their apparatus through every performance.
I can't help but wonder if it makes her want to go out there again and do one more floor routine. I know these girls, the way they perform makes me want to go out there. What that would entail would not be nearly as pretty as what they are performing right now, though. I can tell you that. 1.5 front layout. Oh, shoot. With that fall, they're going to have to count one of the falls from her or Maddie from earlier in the lineup. You could see right on the landing, her legs just kind of gave out. You know, you can see there, she's a little bit disappointed in that performance. Another look at the double pike that just skyrockets. Beautifully straight legs.
Incredible height.
And then here, another look. You can see how her legs kind of buckle a little bit, and she just doesn't really quite get that kick in her heels to get fully rotated over.
Neither side has really been as clean as they were in the first two rotations here on beam and floor. Now it's Elisa Sharametta, a 9.9 on beam last week versus Arkansas. That was her second best here in 2023.
As we've talked about, this is the exciting time of the season when you're gearing up for postseason, but it is the most grueling time of the year. You've already been through 8 meets plus, and your body wants just a little break. It gets challenging to manage those injuries and those bodies. Coach Shannon Welker from Missouri Tigers, though, said that his approach is emphasizing conditioning. A lot of times when you move into postseason, it's easy to forget about the basics, but they emphasize the basics and let the mental reps take over, which is a great approach for the longevity of these athletes.
Now, Coach Welker really emphasized the conditioning. Coach Johnson really talked more about building the strength.
Absolutely, both are very important. Fun leap pass right there, shoosh down to the beam.
Such a unique performance and routine from Sharametta.
Really showing off her flexibility. And in gymnastics, you can't play defense, but when you know that the other team has to count a fall, it gives you a little bit of an extra oomph, knowing that you can beat them. Although, of course, not what she is thinking about right here. Very unique dismount. Gainer full, stuck landing. Lean back into those heels, but I'll say it's a stuck landing right there. Huge performance to come up for.
Incredible from the grad student, Elisa Sharametta. A terrific routine.
One of my favorite beam dismounts. It looks like something I've seen friends fly off of a boat into the lake before.
And that's the reaction you get after you stick that landing, which is just oh so important. And Shania Adams posted a 9.15, and that's a score that's going to have to count this time through on the floor for Alabama. Now Gabby Gladio, the freshman.
Huge NQS with a 9.91. Opening up with full in, half in, half out. Great landing. Gymnastics is such a mental sport. After coming off, knowing that you're going to have to count a fall, great leaps right there. Knowing you're going to have to count a fall is hard to still keep your head in the game. It's kind of like being down 21 in a football game. There's still hope to come back, but you just have to stay mentally sharp and know that you're just doing your gymnastics that you do every day. You can't shy away.
Just
from
one
each
routine at a time as well, right?
Exactly.
Right,
One
Gladio.
skill, one breath.
And Gladio is 22nd in the country on floor. Just another one of those freshmen that just does not go out there and look like a freshman. Just locked in.
They really step up the freshmen that come in. And again, it's because of the standard that is set at Alabama by both the coaches and the athletes that were there previously. Front layout into Rudy. Huge split jump. Could walk under that split jump. And you'll notice here with the Alabama floor lineups, that a lot of them will do 2 pass routines. As long as you get enough bonus in your leaps and your tumbling, that is completely okay. You do not have to do 3 passes, and actually is preferential, I'm sure, to the gymnasts. It's less pounding on the body and helps you last longer throughout the season. That is the routine. You can see her fist bump right there that they needed after that. You can see the hugs getting passed around. Here's another look at that last pass with the huge split jump after that Rudy. Beautiful 180 as well.
So much power, finesse, great athleticism from Gladio, and a much needed score. Gladio looked terrific out there after 2 of their first 3 performers on floor. Had a bit of a fall.
Absolutely. She competes like a rock for being so young.
Now Helen Hu was oh so close to a 10 we talked about on bars last week, and very close with that 9.9 and the beam at QS of 9.905.
She has a fun mount here. Let's sit back and let you enjoy. It does not stop there. Showing off that beautiful lines and flexibility. We talked about how she is more than capable of getting a 10 on bars, and that does not change when we move over here to the beam. She combines both grace and elegance with aggressiveness in her tumbling acro skills.
She ended last year 4th on beam, and she is just so at home.
Front aerial, the front aerial. She used to do a front aerial to a Lucan, where you keep your back leg up and move directly into a scale, which is extremely difficult. And they decided just to go back to the front aerial, which is still extremely difficult. Whether you're a gymnast or not, I think it's pretty fair to say that you hold your breath during the beam routine, but with Helen, it's almost like a meditative practice. I can just sit back, enjoy, and have confidence in her that she is gonna go and do what she knows how to do, which is so awesome for her team and her coaches as well to feel. Just a dismount, that handspring to a gainer full, stuck landing. I mean, come on, judges. We wait eagerly, but that's gotta be a 10. The crowd is going bananas right now. They wanna see it, the gymnasts wanna see it. I know I wanna see it. How about you, Max?
Helen Hu, as advertised. Is it gonna be a perfect 10? This was scintillating stuff on the beam.
I mean, you have to find the deduction there. Her feet are glued together on every skill, more than 180 on every skill. Come on, judges.
Elisa Sharametta posted a 9.9 on beam. Helen Hu looked even better. Now it's Lily Hudson, the sophomore, who's actually tied with Gabby Gladio, entering today, 22nd in the country on floor. Gladio has posted an 9.875.
Huge front double full. This is a fun routine here. You might want to get out your cowboy boots for this one. A little bit of Dixieland Delight action. Lily actually committed to Alabama when she was in 8th grade, so I like to think that this is her homage to her dream school of coming to Alabama. Moving to a little Thunderstruck, as well as her second pass, which is a 2.5. Another extremely difficult skill. Drills into the mat.
So Helen Hu, a 9.95.
It is so close, but eventually it will come. I am very hopeful that it has to come at some point.
She's been sniffing that 10 for so long on 2 apparatuses.
She's just waiting for postseason, really matters. Huge double tuck, amazing landing. This is exactly what Alabama needed to set the pace. It almost was like that one routine from Gabby just totally flipped a switch, and this is a new team. They have been dialed in on those landings, dialed in on every skill and performing, and they've gone back to their roots of just playing gymnastics.
And it's the youth delivery. Gabby, the freshman, then Lily, the sophomore, with 2 great bounce-back efforts after a couple of falls.
And that says so much to the coaching staff on their recruiting ability, too, that they're recruiting not only for athletes, but as personalities, too, that are able to handle those stressful situations. Talk about handling stressful situations. Sienna right here has grown as a leader, as Shannon has said. She kind of fit in that last missing puzzle piece into her leadership of being able to lead at meets in stressful situations when adversity comes the team's way. She's able to remove the team from that stressful situation, kind of reset their mindset. Opening up here with her series, back handspring step out, layout step out. She is capable of doing a back handspring, layout step out, another additional skill connected to that series, but like we have said throughout this whole broadcast, that they are toning down some of their routines to kind of save some of their bodies. An uncharacteristic wobble right there. It seems like from both sides that they haven't really just like settled in completely. There's a little bit of uncharacteristic mistakes, but again, that's pretty common around this time of year. Your mindset is on the future, and it's hard to focus in on the present. Great stuck landing. What a joyful competitor. I love watching Sienna just go out there and have fun and lead by example for the rest of her teammates. A beat jump into a gainer full, season landing.
Her positivity and just positive vibes are just so contagious out there. A look at the last 4 meets on floor for Alabama. They're 5th in the country on floor. They've struggled here today so far, but usually they are just incredible.
This is her first appearance of Luisa Blanco, who typically is a common face across all events. But this routine right here, I love her dancing. It is gorgeous, and you do not have to be a former gymnast to appreciate the artistry that goes into this routine right here. Opening up with a double pike. The team aspect of this sport is really expressed on the floor exercises. You can see some of her teammates dancing with her in the background.
She's 7th in the country on floor at a 9.975 last week. But didn't win the event because Aaliyah Fleming went out and had a perfect 10 for the LSU Tigers.
It's hard to beat perfect. From her facial expressions to every flick of the wrist, she just is so pristine. She dominates this event.
And can it be tough when you're used to competing in the all-around to not compete the 2 events and then start here on the floor in rotation 3?
Absolutely. Your body gets a little bit cold. You got to make sure that you stay loose throughout the meet. But she is such a competitor that she could be thrown out to do a floor routine and be just fine any day of the week. Even in a weight crowd, she seems to captivate the crowd's engagement from the get-go of this routine. Front full, front layout into a beautiful scale. And a little photo op to end off the routine, and a head nod of satisfaction, knowing that that is what Alabama needed.
The senior is incredible on beam, and she's almost just as good on floor.
The crowd wants a 10. Alabama wants a 10. There's the double pike again. And here's another look at her last pass, front fold to a layout.
And now it's exhibitions. Sienna Schreiber posted a 9.75, the last score. This rotation for Mizzou. And now Casey Poddig, the freshman from Edwardsville, Illinois.
This is her first appearance on beam this year, but she did make an appearance on floor a few times in January, so she is no stranger to competition.
Her first and lone exhibition of the evening.
What a special moment to be able to compete in your home crowd as a freshman. Back handspring layout, step out. pretty typical for sometimes the athletes to be more invested in the exhibition routine. Oh, shoot. It looked like she was trying to attack that landing too hard and didn't quite get her chest up all of the way. This fall will not count towards the team score, but it is hard to see when you go out as an exhibition trying to prove your spot in the lineup and your first appearance on beam.
Luisa Blanco goes 9.95. Her and Helen, who with 9.95s in rotation 3, both, I mean, just, you're splitting hairs not being perfect with the 10s.
The 10s are right there, and who knows, we might see some with the 2 events that these teams are going into, some of their strongest.
And Bama will be on beam next. And they had 2 10s back-to-back last go at home versus LSU on B.
It really does not get much better than that, Max.
Lily Hudson, then Luisa Blanco. You talked about it earlier. Hudson gets her first 10, and then her teammate gets her second 10 on that event in the month of February to follow.
Talk about riding a wave on a high. They just could not settle down, and they really took advantage of her getting that 10. Cameron Machado up here for the exhibition routine. Another fun routine. Opening up with another huge double pike.
So Mizzou's going to take this third rotation by a decent margin and have a 0.3 of a point lead entering that fourth and final rotation.
But as we all know as gymnastics fans, anything can happen, so do not hold your breath.
And that's what makes this sport so exciting, especially when you talk about what the Crimson Tide have in store on beam and what they're capable of.
An amazing 1.5 front layout, and this is their exhibition routine. This just goes to show the amount of depth that they have. Huge double full wolf turn. You'll notice that some of the girls wear a little sock sometimes on their toe to help with those wolf turns. Fabulous performance by the exhibition routine. Her team is so excited. And like I was mentioning, they sometimes get more excited for the exhibition routines because it's a chance for that athlete to prove themselves and really show what they are capable of and finally be rewarded for all that hard work that goes unnoticed in the gym.
Cam Machado certainly proved herself right there. That was a fantastic routine to finish things up for Bama on floor. Coming up next, we'll talk about the growth of gymnastics.
It is exciting, right? I mean, I think some of our metrics and some of our numbers and popularity and fan base are some of the biggest in the country, quite honestly, for growth purposes. So it's really cool, and I think I really feel like for a sport that maybe wasn't always as recognized or as popular, to see the growth there and to see the recognition, really special. And I think that really adds to the experience for our young ladies. And the SEC is obviously a leader in helping promote those sports and those student athletes.
It's been really incredible to just watch how gymnastics has grown throughout the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I really feel that these athletes are constantly finding new ways to find their voice and to use their platform to be role models for the younger generations, and I think that has sparked really meaningful change and has helped promote the just exposure and the bigger platform that gymnastics now has to offer.
Mizzou leads by 0.3 as we enter the fourth rotation. The final one, Mizzou will be on floor. Bama will be on B. So we take a look at the road to nationals and that current top 10. Pretty much know who's going to be at the top, and they match up later tonight, Oklahoma and Florida.
Oklahoma and Florida dominate the NCAA right now, and that matchup tonight will be extremely exciting.
And don't sleep on LSU. They've just beaten Alabama and Florida consecutively, and they're starting to move up 6 right now. Postseason schedule, a look at what is ahead in a couple of weeks. Big day on March 18th with the SEC Championship and the Big 12 Championship, and then regionals at the end of March, and keep that April 15th day in the back of your mind. So as Alabama goes to beam, we talked about Lily Hudson and Louisa Blanco, a sophomore and the senior respectively. How can they live up to what they did last week?
They know that they're capable of 10s, and so now they have a little bit of swagger to them. You can see right here how successful they are with the stuck landings, back-to-back, the excitement that draws. But again, each week is different. You never know what to expect, so you go in with a clean slate, having zero expectations from the previous week, like I said earlier, whether that was good or bad. They are carrying with them a little bit of confidence, though, that does help, especially on beam.
And Jocelyn Moore will be coming up on floor. Look at the top 4 scores she's posted this year, and that top one was last week on the road. Now she's back at home.
She has come as close as you can to a 10, and so I know she's craving that.
It to the Hurt Center as we look at the meet summary so far. A big third rotation for Mizzou. Helen with that season high 9.95 on beam. And Mizzou trying to pull up the upset, and right now in a good position.
Absolutely. For Alabama on beam, it's really going to be a stick contest. If they can hit those landings, which they absolutely can. Missouri just needs to have fun. As you can see from all the smiles, they clearly are set to do so.
Ella Burgess, the senior, in that leadoff spot 4 times in a row on beam. She's had a 9.9 or higher, coming off a 9.925.
We talked with Louisa Blanco about how she had to warm up before floor as she was cold. Ella is very aware of what that feels like, as she has to wait for beam to be the final event for her to compete. But she says she just duplicates waiting around at practice to condition her mind and her body to be prepared for that. And right there, absolutely perfect. One arm back handspring layout step out. I don't know if you caught that, but she did only have one arm on that back handspring. Side aerial, slight balance check. What I love about her performance is she smiles on beam. A lot of people think beam is stressful, but when you just smile, it's amazing the sensation that it can provide in your body and calmness that it can exude throughout the rest of your routine.
And she's had a whole lot of reasons to be smiling on beam all season long.
Absolutely, and she's looking to do so again today. Huge switch side. The scores that she receives is typically what you'll see in mid-lineup, but she is capable of scoring that right off the bat. Right, just the dismount, gainer pike, stuck landing. You can see Justin Springs, the Alabama personal hype man right there. Super excited to bring that energy in to the last rotation. And talk about energy. We move on to the 4 with Missouri. I about got hit in the head by a t-shirt that came catapulting up to us. This crowd is getting loud.
Yeah, they get Narco going. You hear the trumpets.
I feel ready. I know Sienna feels ready.
Sienna Schreiber, back-to-back 9.85s on the floor.
Now, don't let the music fool you on this routine. Very intense, dramatic music, but look how much fun she has in her personality and facial expressions throughout it. She plays with her teammates there a little bit with the facial expressions, opening up with her first pass. Punch Rudy, layout 2 feet, split jump, huge pass.
Schreiber is always having so much fun. I'm sure she has fun at the dentist.
Well, I don't know about that one, but I'm sure she's smiling at the dentist. She does make everything look so fun, though, and joyful. Front fold, front layout, stag jump. Little wink to the judges. And as we saw with Alabama, we'll see a lot of 2-pass routines with the Missouri lineup as well.
Last time Mizzou was doing floor here at the Hearn Center, they tied their second-best score on this event in program history. And Coach Walker talked about this being their really most consistent event of the 4 all season long with its lineup and rotation.
And that's why they're ranked number 10 in the nation on this event. It comes down to the performance aspect, which they do clearly very well.
terrific start for the Tigers on floor.
Here's another look at her fun first pass. It's not only her dance that's fun, but even she has fun with her tumbling. Look at, as she's doing her split jump, she almost looks surprised and amazed at herself for what she's capable of. Fabulous routine by the senior.
Great job by Sienna Schreiber. Ella Burgess posted a 9.875 to start the Crimson Tide rotation on beam, which actually ends that streak of 4 straight meets and with at least a 9.9. Now it's Rachel Rybicki, the freshman. 6th team on beam this year for her. Coming off a season high 9.9.
You could see her take a deep breath before the beam, and as a lot of this team actually will hold their stomach and take a deep breath to kind of calm them. And when I asked Ashley Johnston, head coach, about that, she said that some of it was established before she got there, but she does prioritize just calm gymnastics.
And we mentioned Hudson and Blanco getting 10s last week. Well, one of the judges actually had Rybicki with the 10 too.
Ashley Johnston says, yes, we are striving for perfection in gymnastics. Of course, the 10s are exciting, as they're very familiar with on this event, but she allows an environment for mistakes, which is so healthy for these athletes. You have to keep in mind, they're 18 to 23-year-old females, young adults that are trying to figure out college and who they are. And so when you have an environment that allows them to make mistakes, great things can happen, as you've seen with this beam team.
9.875 from Sienna Schreiber.
The last component of a beam routine is the dismount. And right here, a round off 1.5. Stuck landing, she fought for it. She dug her heels in to the ground and got that landing. Here's another look at the amount of effort that it took to hold on, her toes digging into the mat. I don't know if the judges will count since she did step up with her 1 foot, but that amount of effort that she used with her little toe muscles deserves the stick.
Alana Kratzer, the sophomore, the only event she competes in. Back-to-back 9.9s for her.
I love looking at the different personalities and style that these girls come into college gymnastics with. Opening up with a huge double tuck. Significant step back. She did drag her front foot back on the landing, which is a deduction. But it's so fun that the coaches allow the girls to show their personality, and they don't just mold them into one routine or one performance style. You can see Shannon there cheering on Alana. A little bit of change of pace here in the routine now, gearing up for her next pass. Round off 1.5 front layout. Hyping up the crowd to get into her last pass, round back handspring, double pike. That was a flawless landing. Ending with a tiger roar to cap off that great routine. It's an extra 10th of bonus to end with a double flipping last pass. Here's a look at her first pass. You'll see her front foot move just a little bit on the landing. Oh, her second pass, 1.5 front layout. And then here's another look at her last pass. Drilled into the ground. And that is where you get the 1/10 of bonus to have that double flipping pass when you're exhausted at the end of your routine.
Another great routine on the floor from Alana Kratzer. Now, Maddie Wally-Goru's coming off a season-high 9.875 on the beam against LSU.
Maddie has a little bit different style on beam. She's very aggressive, but I love it because it shows how sure of herself she is. She's sure in her dance moves, which I think transfers over to her acro skills, and you can see that coming up here on her first skill, which is her series.
So much composure from Ashley Johnston looking on, too.
She has to. I mean, she leads by example, and the girls look to her in times of crisis or adversity, and it's necessary for the head coach to keep that composure and belief in their girls, and Ashley exudes belief in all of her girls.
When you talk about dealing with pressure, Johnston closed out the 2012 National Championships with a nearly flawless routine on beam.
A jump tuck full. And it is not a small feat to even make this Alabama lineup. There are 16 girls that train beam. Yes, 16, which is a huge number. It makes every day a competition in the healthiest way possible. It makes every girl rise to the occasion every single day and produce beam routines like Maddie just did.
75% of their 10s have come on beam this year.
You can see her senior experience coming to play right here, coming back from a fall on floor to nailing a beam routine. There was a slight wobble, but a stellar performance to come up after a small mistake on floor.
Back over to floor where Kratzer did match Schreiber. They both posted 9.875s, and now it's Hannah McCrary. She's topped her EQS average with 9.875 each of the last 2 matches.
And she's a qualifier to the NCAAs as an individual on this exercise in 2021. Opening up with a front layout, Rudy. Very solid landing. She just milked that landing. She really showed off her stick right there. Fun floor dance. Help her catch her breath a little bit. Going into a double pike. That right there, if you could look in the code of points and have a visual for a double pike, Hannah McCrary's name would pop up. That was gorgeous. A little fun ending here, pay attention. Wow. She is pumped after that, as well as the fans.
All you needed to do was see the fan reaction or her teammates' reaction to know just how good Hannah McCrary just was.
I mean, if you're third up in the lineup and showing a routine that could potentially deserve a 10, that just means so much for the rest of the lineup, and she's doing her job and setting them up for success. Here's another look at that huge double pike. Great landing. She loves it. Her teammates love it.
Tough to find deductions there with Hannah McCrary's floor routine.
Can't find many, that's for sure.
Over to Gabby Gladio, the freshman here on beam. 8th time this year performing on the balance beam.
That handspring layout. A little bit pegged on the landing, but it was a little bit more open hips than I've seen from her.
Hannah McCrary posts a 9.9, the high so far on the floor for the Mizzou Tigers.
Front layout that really just floats right into a beat jump for a connection bonus. Ashley described this beam team, the head coach, as they attack every moment and they're fearless. She is capable of completing a double back, actually, off of this for a dismount, but they're going to stick with the round off double full to play it safe. I know that they have done that for the last couple meets, and it's all about the balance between risk versus reward. You can put out those big skills, but if you're not going to stick the landing, it sometimes isn't always worth it. Sometimes it's better to play a little bit safe.
And talk about the risk reward, especially at this time of the year as we wind down the regular season.
It's huge. There's kind of going to be a dip in skill level around this time of year as we gear up for postseason. But when we hit postseason, it's everything you got. You got nothing to lose, so everything is out to show.
Sharametta, now the grad student on floor. Back-to-back grad students in the middle of the lineup here for Mizzou.
And talk about balancing school and gymnastics. I mean, undergrad is hard enough, but when you put on grad school, it's just a whole nother piece to the puzzle. Opening up with a front double full. Slightly large lunge. Both of her parents were actually gymnasts, so it runs in her blood to compete as a gymnast. You can see a senior Sienna being her little hype woman in her corner, as well as the next generation in the other corner, looking up to maybe eventually be a Missouri Tiger. And that's the coolest thing about this sport is the impact that they have on little girls and the way that they can inspire the next generation. Huge Rudy into his layout step out.
And the little girl just found out they're on TV as well, it looked like.
Oh no, this sign was upside down. We still got the message. Little WWE action there, but make it graceful.
They want to see a 10 on floor.
I know they want to see a 10. I want to see a 10. Gorgeous routine.
Lily Hudson is next up on beam for Bama. She needs a 9.8 to win the all-around.
And coming off of a 10 from last week, everyone knows she is more than capable of. It's just a matter of her mindset at this point. But Ashley Johnston described her as having a championship mindset, even just as a sophomore. So she really sets that standard right here, and it won't be too hard of a feat for her as long as she stays calm and focuses on her gymnastics.
This is where you scoot up in your seat with Hudson and then Blanco off the back-to-back 10s on beam last week.
Front aerial right into her back handspring step out, layout step out. You can see her arms were a little bit off, but she saved the wobble. She has scored a 39.575 in the all-around 2 times this season already. One of my favorite leap series right here. Switch leap. Oh, switch leap beat jump. Usually she is capable of doing a switch leap, into a side aerial. You can see how square her hips are. And what I mean by that is her shoulders and hips start facing the end of the beam and land facing the end of the beam. It gives no room for deduction for the judges. Right here into her round off 1.5. Stuck the landing, a fabulous routine. Unfortunately with the arm wobble, it won't be a 10, but I think it was a good enough performance to clinch the all-around title tonight.
Another stuck landing for Lily Hudson. Needs that 9.8 on the beam.
And you can see that slight arm wobble right there. Huge stuck landing.
Now it's Jocelyn Moore, who's been so terrific, and she follows Sharametta, who just posted a 9.925. A great rotation here on floor for the Tigers.
Absolutely, and this can be considered an encore routine. They already have amazing scores set up for her, so she can just have fun, and she definitely does that. She draws in the audience with this routine. A little bit under-rotated, and under-rotation is more of a deduction than being over-rotated. You could see her chest was a little bit down on the landing there. Fabulous leaps. You could see the height just rise.
A 9.9 posted for Lily Hudson, and she will win the all-around. Not the 10 from last week she had, but certainly good enough.
I don't know how the crowd isn't out of their seat trying to dance. I'm about dancing myself out of my seat.
There you go. There's the dancing. Right on cue.
She's got it. Rounded back handspring, double tuck. Wow, I think everyone in the crowd knows her floor routine. Awesome job.
Jocelyn Moore is so elite on floor, and she maybe has the biggest smile in the SEC.
And that's the coolest part, when you can actually feel the energy and love for the sport that these athletes have. Most of them have been doing it for 2 decades, so sometimes it gets draining and it's hard and grueling. But the love really shines, especially on this event and with these 2 teams.
And now it's Luisa Blanco, tied for 4th in the NCAA on the beam. She was the national champ on the beam just 2 years ago.
Luisa Blanco centering herself for this routine. Arguably her best event, although all of her events are stellar. She even extends her fingers on every movement, every skill, which is just the finishing touch that makes everything that much better. She is a role player on this beam team. Back handspring, layout, step out. Not a single nudge. I could have gone up there and pushed her in the middle of that skill, and I still don't think she would have wobbled.
Balance is just sublime.
Absolutely.
From Luisa Blanco.
She said her mom always has told her to take it one day at a time, and that her mom has been a role model. And parents are such a crucial role in the sport. They sacrifice just as much, if not more, than the athlete. And she's definitely been taking it one moment at a time. Just the dismount left here. Round off 1.5. Like cement. She stuck the landing. Looked replicable to the routine last week that deserved 10, and then they're flashing the 10s. We'll see if it comes true. We've been wrong up to this point, so don't hold your breath.
Unleashed a primal roar there. She had 2 10s in February. Can she start on the beam in March the same way?
I would like to think so.
Big team reaction, big crowd reaction. They want the 10.
You can see she's a little shaky, which is pretty typical for after beam.
Amari Celeste, the sophomore, to close things out.
And buckle in your seats. This is a performance of a lifetime.
She's only been below a 9.9 on floor, the sophomore, once this whole year.
Sits the crowd on her head before she even hits the routine. That is the confidence that you want on floor. Winking at the camera. Going into a round off, back handspring, full and stuck the landing.
How about that beam update? Luisa Blanco, her 3rd 10 on beam this season, and she does it back-to-back weeks.
Finally, we got the 10 that we've been wanting all night. And what deserving of an athlete than Luisa Blanco? 1.5, front layout. Slight stumble on the landing there. I love that the dive roll, the easiest skill in her routine, gets the crowd's biggest reaction.
So Missouri's gonna win today. Bama, just that floor routine, that floor rotation for them is not gonna be enough. And this Missouri side, as Amari Celeste trying to close things off on a high note, just keeps on rolling, confidence as high as maybe it's ever been.
Just capping off the routine with round back handspring, double tuck. What a great way to finish this meet. She did a fabulous job honing in on those landings, focusing on the details, and having fun with it. And talk about being having a strong mindset and mentally sharp. The Alabama team came back with a vengeance on the beam and really tried to lessen that margin of the lead that Missouri was holding going into the final rotation.
Yeah, they got the perfect 10 from Blanco. They also got a career high from Gabby Gladio, a 9.875 as Jania Adams will be the one exhibitioning here on beam for Bama.
They put up a good fight, that's for sure, both these teams.
Bama's going to see that streak come to an end of all those near 198s. They've been in the high 197s for a long time, about a month and a half.
And that's going to happen. It's nothing to get too worked up about. Bad days happen, and sometimes those just happen to be on meet days. And it wasn't even a bad day. They still put up a spectacular performance. Not what they're capable of and not what they were expecting, but still just something to go back in the gym, work harder at this week, and pay a little bit more closer attention to those stuck landings and little details.
And Celestine gets a 9.9. It's the third 9.9 or better on floor for Mizzou this rotation, so they'll drop a 9.875.
Which even that alone is a huge score to drop, totaling a 49.475 is a pretty great score for the Missouri floor lineup. You can see Luisa Blanco right there, holding that added 10 to her resume, cheering on exhibition.
Fresh off a 10, and she's right on edge with one of her teammates in an exhibition. You gotta love that.
And that's what college gymnastics is. It's a team sport. Yes, there's an individual, one person competing at once, but it is a team sport, and you rely on these girls to get you through. You can see right there, back-to-back 10s on beam. Getting a 10 in gymnastics is hard enough, but make it back-to-back. Add a little extra challenge. Now let's see how long we can keep this streak going.
Sydney Schaefer, the junior from Kansas, to exhibition here on floor. How cool that we talked about the 10s coming back-to-back on beam from Hudson and Blanco last week. So that's now back-to-back with Blanco herself, back-to-back weeks now. So they just keep streaking.
She said, why not just make it back-to-back individualized as well? Sydney has completed on the floor lineup in previous years, having scored a 9.85 5 times previously. An exhibition routine, so again, won't count towards the final score of 197.075 Missouri has.
That also means 3 of the last 8 beam performances from Bama have been perfect 10s. If you go back to the final 2 anchoring that rotation last week.
And that is what the anchor position is all about. Using that momentum that the lineup has created for you and just hitting your routine. Simple as that. Simple, right? Get a 10-0 on beam.
And you got to think you're thinking about it all week long after getting the perfect 10. It's got to be so hard having all those off days that come back and repeating the performance.
Absolutely, and to have a goal set and then to reach a goal, it almost gives you even more of an inch to achieve it again.
Coach Welker still looking on in the background. Sydney Schaefer finishes up on the floor. So how about these Missouri Tigers? It's going to be 3 straight wins over the likes of Auburn, Arkansas, and now number 8 Alabama. These Mizzou Tigers just keep on cooking.
And how does that feel to just keep crossing one more off the list on the SEC schools? Gives you a little bit more confidence going into the SEC conference meet.
Another win for Mizzou. We'll be back and wrap things up next here in Como. Later on tonight, it's number 1 and number 2 in the country, 9 Eastern, ESPN2. You don't want to miss this. Oklahoma.